Welcome to your favorite channel for learning everything you need for financial success. Let's get started.
You ever have that moment, you know the one, you look at your bank account, it's near the end of the month, and this sinking feeling hits you as one single question just echoes in your head, right? It is such a universal feeling, and it can be completely overwhelming. I was reading about an investor, Tom Crosshill, who had this exact moment. He looked at his account, was expecting to see 5,000 euros, only to get the shock of his life when it said 350. And no, he wasn't hacked, he just spent it without even really noticing. It's that feeling like your money is just vanishing into thin air. And you know, sometimes it's not a slow leak, it's more like a massive explosion. Christina Mikas talks about this time she bought a pair of boots that cost more than her rent while she was already drowning in student debt. She called it a palpable feeling of self-sabotage. Wow. If that hits close to home for you, then trust me, you are in the right place. So let's dive in. Here's our game plan for this explainer. First up, we're going to diagnose the real reasons we all overspend. Then we'll get into the mindset shift that's absolutely crucial for any real change. After that, we're building a practical toolkit, actions you can literally take today. And finally, we're going to redefine the entire goal, moving away from just saving and towards building what we'll call your rich life. Okay, let's get right into it with the diagnosis. Because look, any action plan, no matter how good, is pretty much doomed to fail if we don't understand the root cause of the problem first. We've got to figure out the why before we can even begin to fix the how. This quote from Dr. Gabor Mate, who's an expert on addiction, is so powerful. He says we shouldn't ask about the addiction itself, but about the pain underneath it. And that's a huge reframe. Overspending, it's often not a character flaw. It's not a sign that you're just bad with money. It's usually a coping mechanism, a symptom of something way deeper. And that something deeper, well, it usually looks a lot like this. We shop when we're bored, right? We spend money when we're stressed out, trying to calm our anxiety. We see stuff on social media and that FOMO, that fear of missing out, kicks in hard. Sometimes it's just plain old avoidance of a to-do list we don't want to face. And then, of course, there's the classic justification. I work hard, I deserve it. Or, let's be honest, it's just chasing that quick little dopamine hit you get from clicking buy now. So, since overspending is so tangled up with our emotions, it makes perfect sense why those simple budgeting tips just don't stick, right? You can't put a Band-Aid on a problem that really needs surgery. So this next section is all about fixing the foundation by rewiring the stories we tell ourselves about money. Okay, this right here, this is probably the most crucial mindset shift you can possibly make. A financial educator named Vicky Smith points out that nobody is born knowing how to manage money. It's a learned skill, just like learning to drive a car. Telling yourself, I'm bad with money, well, that's a fixed mindset. It's a dead end. But changing that story in your head to, I'm learning to manage my money, that opens up everything. It's not who you are, it's a skill you're building. Now, the next step in this whole mindset shift is getting totally, completely crystal clear on your motivation. And I'm telling you, I want to save money is not a good enough reason. It's not gonna cut it. You have to dig deeper. Why do you want it? What would your life actually feel like if money wasn't a constant stress? What kind of freedom, what kind of security, what experiences would that give you? That deep emotional why, that's the fuel that's gonna keep you going when the temptation to spend really hits. All right, now that we've laid all that important psychological groundwork, we are ready for the action plan. Let's build a practical, hands-on toolkit of tactics you can use to take back control, starting like right now. Tactic number 1 is so simple, it's genius. Create friction. I mean, we live in a world that is literally designed for one-click purchases and spending money without thinking. Your job is to intentionally make it harder to spend on impulse. You have to build a buffer, a little speed bump, a moment of pause between wanting something and actually buying it. So how do you do it? How do you create that friction? Here are 3 solid steps. First, and this one is huge, go into every single online store and app you use and delete your saved credit card details. Forcing yourself to physically get up and find your wallet is an incredible deterrent. Second, as Rachel Cruz suggests, limit your social media and just go on an unsubscribing rampage from all those tempting marketing emails. If you don't see the sale, you can't be tempted by it. And third, for those problem areas, like groceries or eating out, try the cash envelope system. When the cash in the envelope is gone, it's gone. It's a hard stop. Our second tactic is all about learning the lost art of waiting. You know that rush we get from shopping? A lot of times it comes from the anticipation of getting the thing, not the thing itself. So by forcing yourself to wait, you separate that initial emotional high from the more rational decision of whether you actually need or want the item. And here are a few awesome ways to practice that delay. Rachel Cruz loves the 24-hour rule. It's simple. Just wait a full day before making any non-essential purchase. You'll be amazed how often that burning desire just fizzles out. A similar trick is the leave it in the cart method. Go ahead, fill up your online shopping cart, get that little thrill, and then just close the tab. And finally, you can create a want later list. When you want something, just write it down. I'm telling you, when you look at that list a month later, you have completely forgotten about most of it. Okay, our next tactic is all about shifting your perspective on price. Because that price tag you see, that's just one part of the story. To make way smarter decisions, we need to understand the true cost of our purchases using a couple of simple but really powerful mental models. First up is opportunity cost, and Modern Money Talk puts it perfectly. When you spend, say, 100 pounds on a whim, you're not just losing 100 pounds, you're losing what that 100 pounds could have become. It's the investment returns you missed out on, it's the high interest debt you could have paid down, it's the security you could have built in your emergency fund. Every single purchase you make is a trade-off. Now, this second model from Tom Crosshill is even more personal, converting money into your life hours. Figure out what you actually make per hour after taxes. And suddenly, that 100-pound purchase isn't just money anymore. It's 5 hours of your life. That 500-pound TV, that's a full 25-hour work week you just spent. And the question then becomes so clear. Is that thing really worth that much of your actual life? This next tactic is kind of a wake-up call. It's a stark reminder of why all of this matters so much, especially when we use credit to fund those impulse buys. It is so easy to just swipe a card and forget about it, but the long-term consequences can be absolutely devastating. Let's just look at the cold hard numbers for a second. If you put a $2,000 purchase on a credit card at a pretty average interest rate and you only make the minimum payments, it will take you 10 years to pay it off. And over that decade, you'll pay an extra $2,800 in interest alone. You heard that right. The interest will cost you more than the original item did. This really brings home the incredible danger of carrying credit card debt. Okay, after all those tactics about restriction and delay and danger, I want to totally shift the narrative for our final section here. Because the ultimate goal isn't about deprivation. It is not about cutting coupons and never having fun again. It's about building an intentional, abundant life completely on your own terms. And this brings us to this amazing concept from Ramit Sethi called a rich life. Now, this isn't about having a mansion or flying private. It's about you defining what rich actually means to you. It means you can spend extravagantly, completely guilt-free on the things that bring you immense joy, whether that's travel or fancy dinners or a hobby you love. And to pay for that, you cut costs mercilessly without a second thought on all the other stuff you just don't care about. It's a life of intentional spending, not a life of deprivation. So I want to leave you with this question. Forget about what you need to cut for just a minute. Instead, I want you to think about what you want to grow. In your ideal rich life, what would you happily, lavishly spend more money on? Answering that question, well, that's the first real step toward creating a conscious spending plan that doesn't just help you save money, but actually helps you build a life you truly, deeply love.
Before we finish, let me give you a few tips. And remember that we upload videos every day.
All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are cutting through all the noise to build a super clear, step-by-step strategy for your financial future. You know that feeling like you're just treading water with your money? Well, if that's you, you're in the right place. Let's get this thing started. So, here's the game plan. We're gonna go on a 5-step journey together. First, we'll tackle the mindset, which is absolutely crucial. Then we'll build the practical foundation, create a saving system that actually works for you, learn how to protect and grow what you've built, and finally, we'll zero in on what the real endgame is all about. Okay, let's just get this out of the way first. There's this feeling that so many of us have that building wealth, or heck, even just getting ahead, feels so much harder now than it ever has been. If that sounds familiar, I promise you, you are not crazy and you're definitely not alone. There's a real reason for it. So what's going on here? Well, NYU professor Scott Galloway, he just nails it. He talks about how this fundamental promise, this social compact, has basically broken down. I mean, for the first time in American history, it's a real possibility that young people won't be better off than their parents. And he argues this isn't just about money. It's the root of so much frustration, because that basic promise of progress just feels like it's been shattered. Okay, so that's the heavy stuff, right? But here's the good news. You still have control. And the very first step in taking back that control isn't some complicated spreadsheets. Nope, it's your mindset. It all comes down to one simple question. What's your why? What are we actually fighting for here?
And this is where Scott Galloway draws a really important line in the sand. He separates being rich from being wealthy. See, being rich is all about the stuff you can see, the flashy car, the designer clothes, it's what you show off. But being wealthy, that's the stuff you don't see. It's the financial security, the assets that are making money for you while you sleep, the freedom. That's our real target.
And that brings us to the real definition of our goal. True wealth isn't about hitting some magic number in your bank account. It's a feeling. It's a state of being. It's the moment your passive income, the money your money makes for you, is more than your burn rate, what you spend every month. That right there is the formula for making economic anxiety just disappear.
Wow, this quote from the creator Frugal Fit Mom, it just hits different, She talks about this aha moment when you finally realize what truly matters in life. For her, it was a health scare. And in that one moment, all the stuff just becomes totally meaningless. The people in your life, the memories you make, that's everything. And that is the ultimate why. Financial freedom is just the tool that lets you live that second life to its absolute fullest.
All right, so now that we've got our why locked in, our motivation, it's time to get our hands dirty with the how. So step 2 is all about building a rock-solid financial foundation. You can't build a skyscraper on sand, right? Well, the same thing is true for your wealth.
The Money Guy Show has this amazing framework, 3 pillars that you just can't skip. Pillar 1 is discipline. It's the bedrock. You simply have to live on less than you make, period. Pillar 2 is awareness. You gotta have a budget so you know where your money is actually going. And pillar 3 is freedom. Consumer debt is a cage, and you have to aggressively, passionately work to get out of it.
Okay, foundation's poured. Now for step 3, creating a system that makes saving feel effortless, almost automatic. This is where we stop fighting against our own willpower and start building real momentum with smart habits and, my favorite, automation.
And I love these 3 super practical, tactical rules from Frugal Fit Mom. You can literally start using these today. First, the dollar rule. If that shirt costs $30, you gotta promise yourself you'll wear it at least 30 times. Next, the $20 rule. Every single time money comes in, paycheck, birthday gift, whatever, boom, $20 goes straight into savings. No questions asked. And my favorite, the 7-day rule for impulse buys. Put it in your online cart or force yourself to wait a full week. I'm telling you, most of the time, that I need this now feeling just vanishes.
And all of this really leads to this powerhouse idea from Scott Galloway called forced savings. Let's be real. Most of us will spend whatever money is sitting there in our checking account. It's just human nature. The solution? Make it impossible to spend it. Get that money out of your hands before you even have a chance to think about it. So how do you actually force yourself to save? One word: automation. This is the magic key. You set up automatic transfers for the day you get paid. A chunk goes to savings, a chunk goes to your investments, and it all happens in the background. You set it up one time, and then you just forget it. And your wealth starts building itself without you lifting a finger.
Okay, this is where things get really exciting. We're on to step 4. You've got your foundation, you've got your system humming along. Now it's time to shift gears. We're moving from just saving to actively protecting and growing your wealth. This is the big move from a defensive scarcity mindset to an offensive abundance mindset. And Frugal Fit Mom just lays it out so clearly. Look, there's a ceiling on how much you can save. You can only cut so many lattes or cancel so many subscriptions. To really hit the accelerator on this journey, earning more has to become part of the plan. It's not about ditching frugality, it's about adding a whole other engine to your financial vehicle. But hang on, before we go on the offense, we have to play a little defense. You have to protect the progress you've made. The Money Guy Show calls this the unsexy part of financial planning, but man, is it important. This means having a fully funded emergency reserve for when life throws you a curveball. It means getting enough term life insurance if you have people who depend on your income, and it means having the right health insurance.
These are your shields. They protect you from those catastrophic events that can wipe you out. And here we are, step 5, the ultimate goal. This is where we tie all the practical steps back to our why and where we really understand the single most powerful secret weapon that most of us have on our side: time. Okay, I need you to really look at this number from the Money Guy show. This is insane. They call it the wealth multiplier. Every single dollar you invest in your 20s has the potential to become $88 by the time you retire. That's not a typo. 88 times your money. But if you wait until your 30s, that multiplier plummets to 23. Wait till your 40s and it's down to just 7. This is the mind-blowing, almost magical power of compound growth. Starting now isn't just important, it's everything. So, after all that, the systems, the numbers, the strategies, why are we even doing this? We come full circle, right back to this. It's not for the stuff doesn't matter. It's for the people, it's for the memories. It is for the freedom to live a life that's defined by incredible experiences, not by constant financial stress. So I'm gonna leave you with this one question to think about. Forget about the dollars and cents for just a second and go back to your why. Think about that second life. What will your financial freedom truly allow you to do? What does that life actually look like? Get a clear picture of that and hold on to it. Because that is your motivation to take the very first step today.
We upload videos every day. Subscribe and become part of the family. See you tomorrow.